Hey guys, I'm Sade.
My name is Parker.
I'm Mike, and you're listening to the Try Hard Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Kona episode, which will probably be, no, it will be for sure, the final Kona episode because today we're recording this on Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, and Saturday is race day. So, in today's episode, we're going to answer some questions that we got sent to us on Instagram. You guys can follow us on Instagram if you want to ask us questions in the future. And I'm also going to be talking about some of the training that I've been doing the past few days, some sweat testing I've been doing, the expo, seeing all the other NVDM athletes. And then I think if we have some more time, Mike is going to talk about some new bike changes he recently made. And I'm sure Shade will have a story or two to entertain us with if time allows for it. He always has something up his sleeve. Anyway, I think we'll get started today with the questions. Oh, that reminds me, if you do guys want to watch this, if you want to watch us on YouTube, you can check out the Try Hard Podcast on YouTube. I think we're up to 39 subscribers now, which is a pretty big deal. It's like a subscriber a month, maybe two that we've been getting. So definitely check us out over there. But I guess Sade and Mike, if you guys want to start asking questions, and I guess they're mostly directed for me, I think. But if you guys have any thoughts on any of the questions as well, feel free to chime in with your thoughts.
How many
Sweet.
signatures do you have on your famous hat?
Oh, that's not through Instagram, but we can start with that. So for those of you that don't know, I have a hat that I carry with me in my backpack, and whenever I see a pro, I ask him to sign it. And today, actually, I got Sam Laidlaw to sign it, which I was super excited about. I saw him at the swim. We just had a 30-minute swim today, and I saw him, and I whipped out my hat and my marker. I also walk around with a marker too because it's not too often that pros have a marker to sign hats with. So got him to sign it. Then yesterday, I got Trevor Foley to sign it, and who else? Ben Canute. I got both of them to sign it, and I got who's the GTN presenter? Uh
Oh,
the ex pro,
I forget his name, but he's a great guy.
not Mark, no, the other guy. Um. Anyway, the third GTN presenter, I forgot. I'm blanking on his name. He used to be a pro, the newest GTN presenter. I got him to sign it, and then earlier this week or last week, I got Christian Blumenfeld and Gustav Eden to sign it. So it's pretty much full now. I actually bought a new hat today at the expo that I think I'm going
Hmm.
to get signatures going forward. So I got this old hat was from the 2022 World Championships. And so I bought a new hat at these World Championships. So that'll be my new signature hat after this year. So yeah, very eventful morning though, meeting Sam Laidlaw. Seems like a cool guy.
Nice. And when you met him, are like people like crowding around him and stuff, or how's like what's the energy around like the pros?
Yeah,
Especially,
so it was interesting actually. He was just kind of walking through the swim. There were so many people there. It was so crowded because I think it was like right after the underpants run, which I didn't go to. But there's just lots of people there, and you could definitely tell like people were kind of looking, but it wasn't like people were like screaming at him and trying to get his attention. So I know he looked like he was kind of off somewhere. He was kind of in a hurry, I think. So
hmm,
yeah, not too many people were like bugging him.
awesome. So let's start with the first Instagram question that came in. So, any pre-race rituals?
Not really. I used to have one. I always used to have a half a pint of Halo Top before the race, and then a half a pint after. But I did that before Ironman Texas as well, and had a super bad day. So kind of everything I was going leading, I always thought that was bring good luck, and now pretty much everything I was doing up before Ironman Texas, I've kind of stopped doing. So that's one of the rituals I don't do anymore. I still kind of a post race ritual. I do always bring a crumble cookie with me to the post race and I film a review. So I will be doing a crumble cookie review after the race. But let's see what else. Pre-race. Oh, I shaved my legs 2 days out, so I will be doing that today. It's Thursday, so shave my legs and face. And then let's see what else. I think that's really the only thing I can think of. Forget something. I always forget something before a race or something breaks. For example, before Florida, my derailleur broke. Before this race, I lost my goggles. Let's see what else. I'm sure, something always goes wrong before a race, so that's kind of a ritual. Kind of inevitable. Something's gonna mess up, so just kind of have to count on that. Losing. I think before one race, the camera broke on my phone. I dropped my phone, and the camera broke. So, another race, I broke my GoPro. Something always bad happens before a race. I don't know why. I don't know why we do them, but that's kind of a ritual. But I think that's. I don't think that's pretty much it. How about you guys? Do you guys have any special rituals that you always do before race day?
Wait, let me just add on to that. Like,
Oh wait, one more. No
yeah.
caffeine. I don't have any caffeine the week of leading up to race. So Monday was pretty hard. I will say I got some headaches Monday, but besides that, I've been feeling pretty. And the way I know that I'm in pretty good shape, and even though I'm super stressed right now and nervous, I like my fitness is there. Is that the workouts this week have actually been feeling pretty good, and I haven't been taking really any caffeine or stimulants, so that's a good sign.
Nice. Yeah, I was just gonna comment on that crash at Florida. So that was when I first met Parker, was at Florida, and I remember that bike ride because everything was going so well. I think that was my first group ride of my life. So I was like, I'm cloud nine. This is the coolest day ever. Like I'm riding with my team. Everyone's wearing NVDM gear. I have NVDM gear on. It's like my first time ever being like a group, and I was like, oh, I'm so part of this. This is like gonna be such a fun week, and everything's gonna be great. And then we're like turning back, and we're at a light, and then Parker, I think we're stopped at a light, and then I think Bobby and you were going at the same time, and then I think Bobby tipped and then tipped you over, and your bike fell. I just see your derailleur fall off, and I was like right behind you, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is horrible!" And I'm just like right there, like this is. I've like known you for maybe less than 24 hours. I just see you're like I've like talked to you so much like from the coaching, but then just like seeing you in person, just seeing you like so defeated on the side of the road, I was like, oh my God, I really hope they like fix this and like you can race. But luckily, Florida was a great race. And that's actually where you qualified for Kona. So that's
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. It's oh, and then before St. George, I was puking my brains out the night before I went to bed, thinking I wasn't gonna race. Something always bad's bound to happen before a race. So honestly, if forgetting or losing my goggles is the worst thing that happens, I'm not even too stressed. Especially since my backup pair is the same pair I swam my fastest 70.3 swim in. So, worst comes to worst, I wear those, and it's good luck.
And then speaking of rituals, I don't think I have a certain ritual that I do yet. Mike, I know you've raced a lot more. Do you have any rituals that come on top of your head?
Get super stressed about all of his metrics. That's
Um,
I was up for like 30 minutes last night researching why HRV is supposed to drop during paper week.
Yeah,
no,
I take my watch off to not see the HRV dropping because that freaks me out. I cannot look at that.
the day before the race, I like to panic train and go through and do like if it's a 70.3, I'm gonna like just go out and do an Olympic triathlon as hard as I can the day before. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Ritual. I honestly I try to get like I'm kind of crazy about going to bed early on race week. To get the body used to waking up at 4. Like I think most days during the week I wake up around 6. If I have like a particularly long session, sometimes I'm like up at 5:30, but like that's not the normal lately at least. But like on race day, or right the night before the race, like I'm in bed 6 p.m., 6:30. I think Sade, we were both trying to fall asleep before like 7 p.m. I think
Mhm.
when we were in Maryland. And I've found like tart cherry juice the night before. I drink the Pillar Performance and then like sleep mask. That helps a lot. And I also try to read, like Sade, I know you do that too. Like race week, you start to read a book more.
Yep.
Just getting off the phone during race week certainly helps.
Mhm.
And then there's a really good podcast that all the listeners should go check out is
After
Dr.
this
David's,
episode.
of course, with Dr. David Spindler and Rich Roll talking about like sports psychology, and like he is like a sports psychologist, mental coach, works with people like Chelsea Sodaro and Mark Cavendish, and he's a big proponent of giving your phone to like your significant other or whoever you're with for race week. Like just give them your phone for like extended periods of time, staying off the phone, social media, all that, just trying to decompress, get your mind off that stuff.
Yep.
There's
Now, Parker,
actually
I just have a question for you. I know it's not like a pre-race ritual, but what are you doing exactly for like nutrition wise? So did you start your carb load today, yesterday, and what are you like doing for your carb load and all things nutrition, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. So this whole week I've been trying to pretty much eat as normal as possible. Earlier this week, because I found, or it's true actually. I think Cam Worth said this in the briefing before Ironman Florida. With the reduction in training load during taper, as long as you eat regularly, your glycogen stores will start to refill naturally. And so, just with the amount of reduced training load, I've been trying to eat, yeah, relatively normally. A little bit higher, more fats at the beginning of the week, so much more peanut butter and nuts just for the added calories. But then starting today, I will be putting an emphasis on carbs. So pretty much what that means for me is just a lot of rice. I bought some of the coconut jasmine rice in the pre-packaged packages or whatever. I really like that. It tastes almost like sweet. You can have it sweet or savory. And I don't know if the coconut adds any hydration or whatnot. But they say coconut is good for hydration. So I've been eating lots of rice, and then yeah, just regular, kind of boring food. I got some bunch of ham and a bunch of cereal, cornflakes, nothing too crazy. Good protein, yogurts, eggs. So sticking to the basics. My coach actually just asked me if I want to go, or she said that they're going out to get poke later today for dinner, but I think I'm going to pass on that. Raw fish does not seem like the best idea before a race. So yeah, going to be sticking to that, and then sleep as well, as Mike mentioned, going to bed. I've been in bed by 6 o'clock pretty much every night this week, so trying to get as much sleep as possible. And one thing I did want to mention about the HRV though, which I actually found kind of interesting, and I didn't really think about it until I read this. They're talking about because HRV is kind of in response to either the parasympathetic nervous system being stronger or the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic is kind of the rest and digest. And so if that's in more control, then usually HRV is higher, whereas the sympathetic is more like the stress response. And what the paper was saying that I was reading was that in some elite, or in the cases that the HRV has been low and they have had elite performances, the guy was saying that maybe for those elite top performances, you kind of want to have that stress neural pathway firing just so like your body's ready to go and whatnot. So I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it made sense to me, and it made me sleep better at night. So if anyone else knows or has more information, definitely feel free to comment on that. But I just thought that was interesting, and it makes sense if you think about it. You want to be kind of stressed and ready to go, have all systems firing. You don't really want to be, all relaxed and, happy go lucky on race day.
Sweet. So another question we have is, what is going to be the post-race meal? So this is the classic question. So what I think we've mentioned it before, but let the people know once again.
Yeah, so I was gonna, well, right after the race, I'll probably have pizza or whatever's at the race with the crumble cookie, and then originally my sister's coming out, and she's a pescatarian and she loves sushi, and so we were gonna go to a really nice sushi place, get omakase, but we called all like literally 5 sushi places in the area, and they're all closed on race day because of all the streets being closed and everything, and so I think what's going to end up happening is we're either going to go to one of the athletes' houses and grill out, or just go to the burger place that Mike and I went to. That was really good fish and burgers, so we'll end up going there. But yeah, whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be a good time, and I'm sure the company will be good and try to get as many athletes and family members to go. So it should be a good time.
And I have to, so I was bad last night. I got a 4-pack of crumble. I need to know what flavor did you get for post-race? I need to know.
So it's actually the flavor from 2 weeks or from last week, because I had to have my mom bring it because they don't have crumble here. So my mom brought it, and I asked Tyler what flavor he wanted to review since he's doing the review with me. And he chose the Butterfinger peanut butter crisp one. So it's pretty good. I've had it before, but I'm very excited to have it again. Yeah. And earlier this week, or was it last week? I'm getting the dates mixed up, but I've already had the brownie, the chocolate brownie one. That one was
The fudge
that was
brownies.
yeah, that was a good brownie. Couple
Oh.
of things I do their brownies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm trying to get on a Nice diet, as Parker and Mike know, but the crumble does not help. And I've been pretty good the past couple of weeks since Maryland, but I finally came. This is my first time getting crumble this week.
Was it the
Um,
banana that got you, wasn't it?
it was
Yeah.
the cake that got me. It called my name, and I was done.
Yeah.
Mike, do you wanna get the next question?
Sure, sure. 1 second.
I can actually ask Mike this. I wonder any tips for a fast transition, Mike?
Um, Quick tie laces on the shoes. Absolutely.
I'm not doing that.
Really? You're not
Yeah,
doing
no.
quick tie laces?
I decided not to go with the quick tie laces because I've noticed in the past I always get pain with the quick tie laces and the elf plies. But what I am doing is I will be having them pre-tied and I will be putting a shoehorn in transition. And so I can just put my shoehorn in the shoes and put my shoe on. And so I've tested this out before. So I actually won't even need to like be tying my shoes or whatnot. I literally just like slip them on. So I've tested that out. So I guess that's a tip. Either quick tie laces or get a shoehorn or something like that to put them on quicker. But no, if you can, quick tie laces are the move. I've used them in the past, and when I haven't gotten the foot pain, they've been great. But yeah, I just noticed it's more often than not I get on the top of my foot. It starts bugging me.
Um, Quick transition. Well, in an Ironman, it's a little different because you have like your gear bags, so that there's really not that much you can do other than like inside of your like say run gear bag, having like your shoes not or your socks not like folded and like tucked in together, like maybe like unravel them or have them like like folded down a little bit inside your shoe. Um, if you're carrying like a nutrition belt of any sort, it's making sure that all your nutrition is in there already. And one thing Sade was smart about doing in Maryland that I probably should have done was putting electrical tape around it so that it didn't come out. Like with the naked belt, it like on its own, your gels could fall out, but once you have it around your waist, like it's nice and like tight and compact and things don't move around or fall out. So that was a good tip. And then one thing, it's not necessarily for like a quick transition, but like it's a great tip for racing. I put Gold Bond, or if you put like baby powder
Oh, yeah.
inside of your socks and inside of your shoes. I do it in my bike socks, bike shoes, and run socks and run shoes. And that helps prevent blistering and helps dry your feet out pretty quickly. Unless you have to run through puddles like we did at Maryland, because then it just doesn't matter. But that always helps me.
And another quick tip, and I didn't think anyone didn't do this until I had an athlete that didn't do this a few weeks ago. Please attach your race number to your race belt before the actual race. I had an athlete say that he started to run and he realized, or he didn't realize, or I don't know if he didn't realize or didn't think of it, but he didn't put his race belt on or race number onto his belt first. So he's trying to, attach or safety pin the belt or the number to the belt as he was running. So make sure you do that before the race. You can do that, and you don't have to wear your race number on the bike. That's another, sure, quick
Yeah.
transition, but yeah, you have enough numbers on your bike, so just don't wear your race belt on the bike. Put it on during the run. I think that's a good tip.
One thing too, like let's say we're in a 70.3 or anything non-Ironman where you don't have gear bags. When you're coming out of the swim, it's good to like pull your goggles up as soon as you get out of the water, but you don't necessarily need to take your goggles and cap off until you get the upper body of your wetsuit down. Like sometimes you'll see people like they take their cap and goggles off and then they only have one hand to use because they're using one hand to carry that stuff and they can't peel their wetsuit off. And in most 70.3s, you're not going to have a wetsuit peeler. So definitely wait to take the cap and goggles off. And then on your way back in, um, when you are going from bike to run transition, when you have like a race belt or a number, like sometimes in a 70.3, you may not need a nutrition belt per se, because you could probably stuff enough stuff in your tri-suit pockets. Uh, I remember I used to like put my shoes on and then like feel like I had to like step into my belt, like and like pull it up like my waist. It's better to just start running with it and then just like put it on over your head. Like it's usually like the race belts are like very stretchy, and if you ever see the pros do it, they're like running their stuff, they're grabbing their stuff and running with it. And that's also something I do for 70.3 is I take my gels and like my salt vial or salt pills. I put it in a Ziploc bag. I just grab the bag and run with it. Like, and then I throw it away. I put the stuff like in my pockets while I start running and then throw the Ziploc bag away at the first aid station.
I'm gonna do that right
So
after the call.
yeah, yeah. It just there's
Yeah.
like there's no way, there's no reason to stand there wasting time like stuffing things in your pocket. It's like you might as well do that while you're running. You can multitask, hopefully, if you haven't failed the cognition test.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's all for quick transitions. And one more thing, like I think honestly, quick transitions, especially in an Ironman, are kind of overrated, to be honest. I think, especially if like this is like one of your first ones or you're just getting started, take your time, make sure you have everything, get your heart rate down, don't stress about it too much, double check it. I think honestly, I think it's definitely worth it to take an extra 30 seconds and make sure you have all your gels and whatnot rather than to risk it and start running and realize you forgot half your carbs and T2. So yeah, take your time, don't stress about it. And transitions, I mean, you'll get faster. And honestly, yeah. So that's I think I have left to say about transitions.
I'll just put one more thing. So for me, I had an extremely slow T2, and that's because I cannot pee myself on the bike. So another key to a fast transition is not to stop and use the porta potties. I know sometimes you're gonna like definitely have to, but if you really, especially during an Ironman, if you really do want to like pee on the bike, because I think I had at least it was at least 4 minutes in the porta potty like peeing because I drank so much fluid on the bike, but I just couldn't pee on the bike. So really, like I don't know,
You
can't
can't
be
really
telling you to,
practice,
like
but yeah.
practice that like before race day, but you just kind of have to like know how to do it, and I just can't do it yet. So I'm gonna hopefully when it gets warmer out again, try to piss myself on one of my training rides because I cannot do that mistake ever again. Because 4 minutes in T2 going to the bathroom is just it's not ideal.
One more thing I will say, and I just realized this because the swim here in Kona, most swim skins don't. I don't know why, but they don't have a zipper thing or like a long tab that you can pull down. It's just with wetsuits. And so what I did and what my mom or what my mom did for me is you can get like a shoelace or something like that and put it through the little hole in the zipper and use that as kind of a string to pull up and down your swim skin. I don't know why swim skins don't have a longer thing because I can never reach back there. And so yeah, adding a shoelace or just a long piece of string or something that you can grab onto to help take it off helps. So I think yeah, we wrapped up that question, and now last one is or the second to last one for me. When am I going pro? When I learn how to swim. So maybe one day we'll see. And then the final one, what's your race pace plan? So I guess for the swim, honestly, I really don't have any time goals for the swim. I know I have the fitness to go under an hour. In the training swim, I split the halfway point at like a 56-minute pace. I think I went like 28 minutes. It's all just going to come down to feet, finding fast feet. So that's my, I guess, pace plan for the feet is to find good feet and hold on to them for as long as I can. For the bike, it's really going to depend on the wind. I have a goal target. I think I'm going to start off around 240 watts, I think, going up to Javi. And then I talked to my coach, and she and I both agreed that I'm going to try to push it a little bit going up Javi. So, yeah, I have an idea of what I want to hold going up Javi, but I'm not going to be sharing that. But it's going to be a lot, quite a bit higher than 240. And so that'll be, I think, by the last 5 or 6 miles up to Javi, I'm going to be trying to push some big watts, especially knowing that I have the downhill to recover. And then coming back is probably, yeah, around 240 again. It's going to be a lot faster going down. Normalized power will be higher coming back, more downhill. So we'll see. I could see myself going 25 miles an hour, but I could also see myself holding 22 miles an hour, depending on the wind and whatnot. So that's going to play a big role. And it has been windy out here, especially up Javi. I know, Mike, you experienced some of it yourself. It's yeah,
Mhm.
it's going to be interesting for sure. And I'm happy I didn't go with a more or a deeper wheel in the back.
Yeah,
And
I think
I
that
have
was. And go ahead, say.
I was just gonna ask, so you're talking about the wind. I know a lot of the pros want it to be a really windy day, so it does show the strongest bike rider. Do you have a preference for it being windy or not windy, or
Not preferably probably. I don't know, honestly. Either way, I don't really think it's going to matter too much for me. I think probably a little bit less windy just because I'm not the riskiest bike rider. And so I think that with less wind, I would be able to more comfortable pushing more. But I also know that I do spin out quite a bit on some of the downhills. And so having more wind, I think would then limit my competitors and how fast they could go downhills because they're also going to be, putting the brakes on a little bit on the downhill. So I think either way, it could be to my benefit and detriment. So, whatever we get, we get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can share my 2 cents on that from experiencing that wind.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the days, Parker and I both set like, which is weird. Strava tracks like a time per distance, like PR, like so like how fast did you bike 10 miles or something? Kind of like if you were to track like running. But
yeah,
like nobody on the bike really does that. Like I don't really track like how fast I've done like 20 miles or something like that.
And
Like
the distances are
because
weird. It's
that's
like 20K and 30K or something like
yeah,
that.
they do like
yeah,
30, 40,
it's
50, 60K. They do like every 10K increments. It's really weird.
yeah, it's cool to see, but it's like so dependent on weather and course and whatnot. And if like you just found like a really nice long descent, like you could just set all your records that way. But um one day we went in one direction and it was like 40 minutes of, I mean, we weren't even biking that hard. It was probably under 220, 200, under 230 watts maybe. And we averaged like 20, I averaged like 27, got dropped by Parker and he averaged like 28 miles an hour. So if like you get wind like that on race day in like one direction, it could be really great. And then when you come around, it could be a headwind or it could end up just being it could end up being a tailwind again. Like the wind kind of swirls around the island, and there's a pretty cool app that I was looking at that shows like the wind patterns over the island. But just riding behind Parker, like I think Parker's being humble, saying he's not a risky rider. Like if Parker's not risky, then I'm like extremely conservative because like I felt like Parker was able to ride pretty hard and stay very arrow in the wind a lot of the time, which is what prompted me to make some changes to my bike position because I was like, I'm struggling to stay in arrow as long as Parker is. So
That's actually something I've been very surprised about. And we did make a small change right when we got to the island is I extended my aero bars out in front. So I extended them out a bit. And man, I have never felt this comfortable and have been able to push this amount of watts in aero. I set my 8 minute, this is another weird metric. Strava tracks your 8 minute power records. I don't know why, but I set my,
yeah.
it's, I don't know, but I set my 8 minute power all time record during a ride on Saturday in aero. That was it, the entire effort was in aero, and this track's all power. Not an aero, whatever. And I've never felt this comfortable and this strong in my aero position. And I know 100% or not 100, but a big part of that is because of extending the aero bars in front. And I was actually talking to Mike, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, is that if I could, I would even extend them a bit more because I still find myself kind of reaching over the top of them. And I think so with my new bike, whenever I get a new bike, I'm going to make sure that I have enough reach on the aero bars because I feel stronger and I definitely am going faster in this new position. So that's helped a lot with comfort and speed and performance overall. So, yeah. And then, I guess the
Next,
run, I really don't, I want to go sub 3. I don't really have too many time goals. I don't have any time goals except for this one. I've been wanting to go sub 3 since my first Ironman, and every Ironman I felt like I've had the fitness, and I think I just haven't had the nutrition component dialed in. but I think this time I do. I have a nutrition plan. I'm gonna be taking 80 to 100 grams of carbs per hour, 2,000 milligrams of sodium per hour on the run. And if I don't go sub 3 in this one, then we'll see what happens, because I won't be too happy if I don't, because I know I have the fitness. I've done it in training. I ran a 2:44 marathon outright, 2 years ago, and I know I'm fitter than then. And I don't see any reason why I can't break the 3 hour mark this Saturday. So that's my goal for the run.
Yeah, I see faster than the three, just breaking 3. I think closer to 250s is where you're at fitness wise, in my opinion. But
We'll
we'll see. You
see.
never know. It's a long day.
Yeah, maybe back in
Yeah.
55-degree temperatures and not biking first, but um
Yeah.
but and also the heat. The people have asked me like, what do you think of the heat? I like the heat. I would much rather race here than really, honestly, these conditions. Besides the wind, I like the heat. I think I've always done well in hot races. And so I think for me, honestly, the hotter the day, I know I may regret this, but I think the better. For me, just because I know it'll impact me, and I may not go as fast as possibly I could have, but I think it's gonna hurt others even more then it'll impact me. So the hotter the better, in my opinion.
Sweet. So
All
now
right.
I want to guys move on from the questions. I was like, oh, I want to talk about I know it's controversial Kona being every other year, but I did want to like talk about that for a little bit. What do you guys think? I know before the podcast we're talking a little bit. So in an ideal world for me, ideally though men and women are at the same event, but I do like how it alternates every other year by location. So I think it should be Kona one year and then another location another year, because I do think it is interesting to challenge yourself on different courses and different climates and different things like that. So what do you guys think on that topic?
I agree. Yeah, I agree completely with what you said. I think they should alternate locations. They should definitely try and keep Kona if possible. But I also think that they should have the men and women's on this, or not at the same location. They should have, racing, similar day, like a Saturday, Sunday race. I just think that it makes sense. I don't know any other sport where they split the world championships by gender, by location.
Yeah. I think ideally, yeah, it would be cool if they could just split, or they could change the course each year. But I think it would be better if it was like mandated, like every other year is Kona. So you're like
Yeah.
always going back to Kona, and then on that off year, it changes to say Nice or like St. George would be really cool to go back to. I don't know how Parker feels about that, because I know that course was pretty brutal, but you did really well there.
Yeah, no, I like
Um,
that course.
but like St. George is an awesome place to have that race. Like Lanzarote, it's probably too small of a location, but like Lanzarote would be similar to Kona, I would
Yeah.
think. I think the time of year, I don't know how the time of year would work out for that, but they've got options. So,
Yeah.
and I think it's not set in stone yet that 2026 is going to be split, right? I think everything is finalized through 2025, but then 2026, the decision is still up in the air.
I think they have to decide after this new year. I think they have to start deciding.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, something I did want to talk about was the sweat test. I got my sweat test done. What was it? Yesterday at Precision Fuel. And the results came back that I lose. This is pretty cool. I was the saltiest sweater they have tested up until that point. So I'm not sure how many people they tested, but they said they didn't have many tests left. So I assume that almost everyone that wanted to test was tested. I was at 1,883 milligrams of sodium per liter of sweat, which is actually pretty much on par with what I've been doing. I took a Leveland sweat test. Oh boy, I think that was back in 2021 or 2022. And I don't remember the exact results, but I do remember that from that test, Natasha and I both agreed that we should target about 2,000 milligrams of sodium per hour. And that's pretty much exactly what this test comes back to say. Because I lose about a liter, give or take, depending on the conditions, a liter of sweat per hour. And so that's going to be my goal on race day, is to take in about 2,000 milligrams of sodium every liter of bottle, which I'll have more than I'll have 3 bottles in about 2.5 hours. And so, do the math. So that's about, I don't know, 1.2 bottles every hour. And so that's, yeah, a little bit more than 2,000 milligrams of sodium. So I should be on track to replenish all that during the race.
And how did that test work? What was the procedure? How'd you guys test that? How does procedure?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was really cool. I took a video of it and it'll be in the Kona race video. But what they did was they put like two kind of electrodes on top of the skin, kind of like this far apart from each other. And then they sent like I didn't feel really any of it, but then they said it's supposed to make you start sweating. Honestly, I didn't really feel that I started sweating that much more than I already was out there. Mike knows you go outside for 10 minutes and you're already dripping. So that I think that was kind of a waste. But anyway, so once they got sweating, then they put it's like a little patch, like a circular patch like this. And they're on that patch, it was a little plastic tube that wrapped around, kind of like a snail. And that captured the sweat, and it was cool. There's a dye in there, so the you could see like it started to fill up with this like blue liquid, which was your sweat. And then after it filled up, which took about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, they took out. They kind of clipped it with little scissors or clippers, and they unraveled the plastic tube, and then they took they had this syringe. At first, I thought they were gonna stick the syringe in me or something. I was like, "Oh, but that's not gonna be fun." But no, what they ended up doing was they took the syringe and they inserted it at one of the ends of the tube, and then they pulled out the liquid through that, and then they put the container of sweat into some machine or something, and then within a few seconds they got the results back, and I got a nice little PDF that told me that, yeah, I lose 1,883 milligrams of sodium per liter of sweat. And so the next step would have been to find out exactly how many liters of sweat I'm losing per hour. But I have a rough idea from past conditions and whatnot. And in my training here, I've been targeting around 2,000 milligrams of sodium per hour, and when I've hit that, I've had no issues cramping, and when I have been less than that, I've cramped pretty darn badly. So, yeah, 2,000 seems to be my magic number.
And that testing was at that Ironman Village, right?
Yep, right. It's weird how they do it. So they have the Ironman, they have kind of the main Ironman store and where you check in right by the swim pier. And then literally like a half a mile, 12, you have to walk like 12, 15 minutes to the actual Ironman village where they have all the stores and whatnot. And so it's a long walk, but yeah, so that the precision fuel tent, it was right there. It was actually right in, oh, James Cunningham. That's the GTN presenter. It finally came to me that I got to sign my hat. But
James.
the reason I say that was because James was doing a special on the new Ventum bike. Is that Jackson Laundry or not? Whose bike is the
Mark
new?
Dubrick. Is it Mark Dubrick
No, not Mark
or
Duber.
Jackson Laundry?
Benton is Jackson Laundry.
Yeah,
Jackson
there's
Laundry.
Jackson Laundry.
Yeah.
They were doing a special on Jackson Laundry's new Ventum bike, and it was right behind the precision fuel tent. And it was weird. On top of the bike, he had, think of like kind of like on the right between the aero bars, there was this little it's like a cylinder, like a plastic cylinder, almost think of like a feed bottle, a plastic short little feed bottle with the placed horizontally up and down, up horizontally, and then with a little like a rectangular cutout. And so it was like a little container that you could put stuff in almost, but there wasn't anything in it. And I asked James if he knew what was going in it, and he had no idea. So it seems like all the pros have something, something up their sleeves.
So did you I'm super interested about the whole like the shopping scenario and all of that thing about the like Athlete Village. Is there anything that like caught your eye when you were like exploring it, or was that like
Uh,
super busy, or how's that experience? Because I know
it
I'm
was,
not
it was,
right
it's
now.
cool. It's definitely a bigger expo than the ones in the past. They had I almost jumped in a cold plunge yesterday. I brought my swimsuit, but I decided not to at the last minute. So they had the cold plunge there. They had some cool bikes. Let's see. They had the Woe saddle was there. They had the precision fuel tent. What else was big there? Oh, the Omius had a pretty big stand there. AG1 was there, but it just everything. There just seemed like more of everything. I don't know, but nothing really out of the ordinary that you may not have seen in the past. Yeah, but
Mm.
it's definitely a pretty cool experience. Yeah. Oh, Nerd Belts was there. They were with Precision Fuel and Hydration. And that's Raw was there. Shout out to Raw. Use code NVDM to save. Honestly, we seemed like one of the more popular tents there. We were giving out samples everywhere. We had free energy drinks, which sucks for me because I'm on my caffeine free right now. So I couldn't have any. If I took one, there's a the Sea Bum energy drinks.
I haven't tried any.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. And there's one flavor, Champion Mindset. So I took one. I'm gonna have that morning of the race.
Let's
Like
go.
champion mentality. Yeah, it's a blue flavor. So I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have that and Red Bull morning of the race.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, champion mentality. So, but yeah, besides that, I got the new shirt, the Raw shirt, and a nice little headband. But no, it's been a cool experience. I haven't been able to spend too much time there though, because as I told these guys, my coach Natasha is she got actually kind of mad at me yesterday. She was like, Parker, you gotta go home now. You can't have me walking around here. So I'm like, okay. But I used to get antsy and whatnot. But this whole day I've been laying pretty low. I didn't even go to the Crow press. I didn't even know the press conference was going on until you texted me. I was like, what press conference? And I was like, oh, that one. Yeah. So yeah, I've been laying low, but that's been doing it for race week. And tomorrow we have an easy I'm supposed to do a bike and run. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna do an easy bike and let the legs rest.
And tomorrow's bike check-in as well.
Yeah, bike check-in. So gonna go bike check-ins, I think from 11:30 to 2. So we'll drop the bike off. Gotta pick my sister up from the airport and that's about it. I already have everything laid out. I took a video of all my nutrition, my gear. I checked everything besides the goggles, which I have now. But yeah, everything seems to be set, ready to go. I know all the nutrition I'm going to be doing, so I guess I can walk through that one more time. I'm going to have the 3 bottles up to Javi, 80 grams of carbs in each with 2,000 milligrams of sodium. My goal is to get through all 3 of those bottles going up. Then in my Aero bottle on my down 2, I'm going to have 150 grams of carbs with probably 6,000 milligrams of sodium in that bottle. So it's going to be a little bit salty. So I'm using that primarily for fueling. And then I'm also going to have I'm going to take 4 gels with me. One's going to be backup. I'm going to have a 30 gram gel precision fuel with caffeine. Then I have a power bar, the power bar new black one that Sam Long likes, the 30 gram gel with caffeine. And then one more 45 gram gel. So I'm gonna have that on the bike, and then I have one more extra one. And then the run, I have some gels and the nerd bottles. So that's everything I got on the bike and the run.
Mike, do we still have time for some more? I guess.
But yeah, what did you change on your bike setup? You said you got a new spacer. Oh, actually, I was gonna ask you, did you see the
Yeah.
I think was it Wove or Tri-Rig? I think Tri-Rig has some new spacers they recently came out with for the front end. Is that what you got, or what spacers do you have for your front end?
So I already had these
Mike got the
spacers.
custom.
I've got a bunch of spacers. Like I actually have like a whole kit of Cruise spacers, just everything to modify the Canyon. I feel like I've had it now for, is this my 3rd season with it? Yeah, I think maybe 3rd year with it. Yeah, I got it at the end of 2022. So I've been racing on it for like 2.5 seasons. One of the things that I did earlier this season, I got a spacer from a guy on Instagram who's he goes by the name of Prince for Watts. I believe he's from Germany, and he makes custom parts for all sorts of bikes. But he made one for the Canyon that is an 80 millimeter extension and has, I forget what how much stack height it provides. That isn't that important to me. It's more the extension forward, and then it's angled 15 degrees up. So I've been using that all season and it's been great. But I was kind of in the mindset of like, oh, I need to be more aero. So I need to like really slam down the front end of my bike and like have it almost as low as I can go with this spacer extension piece. But then I've been using my VeloFit, and once I got the Wove saddle, I made some modifications. But one of the things that was kind of always out of range, so it's nice when you basically with my VeloFit, you take a video upload it to their app. They give you an analysis of your position and show you like your angles and show you based if you're trying to go for performance and comfort or like just performance. Here's the ranges of angles that like your knee angle, your knee extension at the top and bottom of the pedal stroke, and your back angle. This is what it should be within to prevent like injuries and whatnot. Uh, and then like it shows you where you are at. And one of the things that kept coming up was that my back angle was like, it's not even that my back was flat, but it was just the back angle was too low. So they kept recommending to add more like stack to my front end, and I kind of just kept ignoring that. And then after riding with Kona out in Parker, indoor riding is a little different. I don't do a lot of outdoor riding, and I think from the indoor riding, if I do like an interval in aero, and then like if I take like I have like a rest interval of say a couple minutes, like I'm usually not doing those rest intervals in aero. And I think because I'm like coming in and out of aero so much, it doesn't seem like it's that hard to hold it. But then when I go outside and I'm trying to like stay in aero for like hour, 2 hours, like really not trying to come out of aero at all. I was like, I can't hold this position. Like this is a little bit too aggressive and uncomfortable for me. So I added more stack height to my front end, and I actually added like a significant amount. I think I put in uh two like base risers that are about, I believe they are, one is 20, they're either 15 or 20 millimeters, maybe 15. And then I added a third one before I put the 80 millimeter extension, and it has another 6 degrees of tilt. So my cockpit was tilted, had a tilt of 15 degrees. Now it's up to 19 degrees. And it actually feels more comfortable that way. I did actually play around with adding in I have another extension piece. It's like another 40 millimeters, and it angles at another 15. So I would have put it at like 30, and the extension would have been pretty far out. And when I got on the bike and sat on that, I just felt like my arms were just like straight up and down. Like it felt very, very weird. I was like, I can't hold this position. It's like kind of like a praying mantis, like high hands position. But now it feels a lot better. I think it's hopefully similar in terms of aerodynamics. I eventually will one day maybe I'll do some kind of an aero testing, whether it's with like a device or go to a wind tunnel. Probably like a device like Noshio, or I know Body Rocket's a thing now, but their starting price is like $2,500 or 2,500 euros or something like that. So it's a little bit steep.
Yeah, it's
Like you have a VO2 Master. That's fine. That's in your budget.
All right. But yeah, the bike is it feels so much more comfortable. And on today's ride, it was like one of the best rides I've done in a long time. So I'm happy with it, and I think I'll keep it this way for hopefully the whole off season, unless there's some other crazy part that Canyon comes out with. But usually they don't offer a lot of these parts to age groupers. They kind of gatekeep them for the pros.
So as you guys hear, like Mike is a pretty good bike mechanic, I would say, and he knows everything Canyon. So that's another reason why when I upgrade my bike, I think I do want to get a Canyon Speedmax, because then I know Mike's gonna know all the good hookups for anything Canyon related. So hopefully I can get that next summer or 2026. We'll see. Hopefully next summer.
And on that note, anyone that is looking to get a Canyon Speedmax, they are available finally. But one thing, from my experience, I ride a size small, and it does seem to work for me. The reach is one like drawback of the bike. There just isn't enough reach in it. Every pro that rides a Canyon Speedmax, for the most part, you see them with some kind of custom extension. And then I also have found out through all of these like Kona bike tech videos that everyone's doing, you see, oh, they're riding a size medium or a size large frame, but the caveat is they're using an extra large base bar. And Canyon has like a base bar just for the pros. It's a little bit more narrow. And because I guess it's a little bit more aerodynamic, and then they're just using the extra large to get that extra reach. So like I've looked at my bike and looked at theirs, and I'm like, know, like it seems like I always look at it relative to their front wheel, and I'm like, why does mine not go out as far? And it's because I'm riding the small base bar, and like if I were able to swap that base bar, I would like probably go up to a size large or at least a medium, but maybe a size large. So for age groupers, if you're like right on the cutoff, like Sade is, like he's on the sizing chart, he's like right in between like medium and large. Probably better to just opt for the bigger size. I don't think that the geometry of the rest of the bike would be too big for you.
There you guys go. Always something new to learn with bike mechanic himself.
Yeah, we'll do. It's going to be a special segment each week. I'm always tinkering with my bike. I need to stop.
I think that's gonna do it for this one.
I think before we close it out, can we just, I know this Kona series has been the main focus is Parker and his Parker's performance, but I think we should do podium and then one dark horse.
Oh, for sure.
Usually
Yeah.
for like all these big races, we always do like a pro like race and what we think is going to happen, but we have been focused on Parker, which is definitely more exciting for me and Mike, I think. But I still personally am really excited about the main race. So Parker, do you want to kick us off? Who do you think is going to give us podium in order and dark horse?
All right, sounds good. And honestly, I know you say you were excited. That's the part I'm most excited for on Saturday too. Is watching all the pros, run past me and see who's in the lead. And that's the one thing that sucks about racing it is you can't really watch the pros race. But I guess my top order, I'm gonna go Christian. Oh, and then these next two is gonna be tough. I'm gonna go Christian, Magnus, Sam. Sam laid off. Magnus in second. I want. It's gonna be so close. I know Christian's gonna win. At least I think Christian's gonna win. That's my number one pick. And then between Magnus, I think it's gonna come down to Magnus and Sam. And I want to say, yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, I think between those two, I just think Magnus because he's been a little quiet this year, and I think he's got a run that is going to surprise a lot of people. So that's why I'm going with Magnus. In second.
And then dark horse.
How about you, Steve? Or dark horse? Dark horse. Who's the Terminator? What's his name?
Oh, Rasmus.
Yeah,
Rasmus.
Yeah.
That's my dark horse. He got the bike course record, like last weekend. So that's gonna be my dark horse. Or Jonas Hoffman. That's my dark horse. I met the guy on the bike. I like him. He's a nice guy. He's a fast runner. He's the second fastest, or one of the top three fast. He had the second fastest.
Yeah, second.
Yeah,
second fastest run split. I think that's second fastest of like the year or like. Yeah, something like that. Like it was on
Ironman. What was that? What was the time on that? It was like a 2:30.
2:34.
Yeah, 2:34. And he can run faster.
Doing only Ironman branded races because I know Magnus ran a 2:34, but I didn't see him on that.
Yeah, it was only Ironman branded.
So that's what I was.
Yeah. But he's my dark horse. Jonas Hoffman, I think his name is. All right, Sade, how about you?
So for me, it's easily gonna be. So I think on the bike, so I'm just let's do like a mini race report of what I think is gonna happen. So I think Laidlow's he's gonna come out, he's gonna be toward the front of the swim. So he's gonna be leading out of T1 and pretty early on the bike. And then I think Magnus is gonna be down 45 to maybe let's say 90 seconds, like a minute and a half down max, I think, in the swim. I think Magnus is gonna bridge up to Laidlow, and then for the rest of the bike, just gonna be a train with Laidlow, Magnus, and maybe Rasmus. That'd be really cool if he's in part of that group, if he can make it in the swim. I'm not too sure if he's a strong swimmer or not. I should probably know that, but I don't. But overall, I think it's going to be a train with Magnus and Laidlow, just like Roth 2023. Magnus said that was like the best riding he's ever done in an Ironman, where usually if Magnus wants to work with someone, he's going to just drop them. But he said in that race, him and Laidlow were like taking amazing pulls, and I just really want to watch that. I think that's going to be really cool. So I hope Magnus and Laidlow come into T2 together, leading the race. And then I think Magnus is just going to has a stronger run than Laidlow. So Magnus is run 2:34 at Roth, and Roth is pretty accurate of a race. It's not, everyone says it's like short, tends to be, but like this year, like looking at Strava and everything, it really is not like a short course. So I think Magnus is gonna have a great run. He did the same camp he did going into Roth, so he knows that his elevation camp works. So I think Magnus is easily gonna win, or not easily, but I think Magnus is gonna win. And then I think KB is gonna come too. So as I said, he's just gonna hunt down. I think they're gonna have maybe hopefully 6 to 5 minutes on the Norwegians on the bike. They really push it, I think. And then I think Layla's gonna blow up on the run, and KB's gonna run into second. So I think Magnus, KB, and then Layla. So that's my top three. And then dark horse is gonna be Matthew Marquardt. I really hope he's gonna swim front pack. I think he's gonna hang on in that front group on the bike, and then hopefully his run can hang him on. Hopefully he can squeeze a top five. That'd be really cool. So that's my mini race report. That's what I really hope happens, and I just cannot wait to watch. I'm just so excited. Mike, what about you?
I guess I'll follow with the chalk picks of the top three. I feel like barring any kind of catastrophic blowups or flat tires, like it does seem like KB, Sam Laidlow, and Magnus have separated themselves from the rest of the triathletes. I just think KB first. It's hard to deny, like coming off of the Olympics and he wasn't happy, and then going out with like I guess you could say very little specificity on Ironman, even though he like his training volume he said like is kind of similar across like whether he's training Olympic or Ironman. I mean, he went out there and dominated Frankfurt, and that was very impressive to see. I think that he's just at a fitness level that not many people could match right now. So I'm gonna say KB, Laidlow, and then Magnus. I think Laidlow can hold off Magnus.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have to hold him off on the bike though, because I think I will say if they get off the bike together, I think Magnus will outrun Laidlow. But my dark horse, I'd like to give two dark horses. One, I'd like to say Daniel Bækkegård because he's finally feeling what seems to be really good. He's kind of got a different mindset going into this Kona. He said that every Kona he's gone to before this, it's black and white for him. It's either like you podium or win, or you just completely like die out there and blow up. It seems like he's going maybe a little bit more level headed into this. Seems like he's had a very good prep. Injuries that were nagging him in the beginning of the season seem to have been dealt with. So, and he's a great runner. Like he's up there with some of maybe the top five, top 10 guys. Like there, at least a few years ago, there was maybe only like two or three guys that could run faster than him. And he's had some really good Ironman performances in the past. So maybe. And he's a good swimmer, and I know he's a solid biker. I just don't know what he's like in the pack dynamics, like how well he's able to keep up, if he can bridge up to the front group or second pack or something like that. But my other dark horse is Gustav Iden. Ezra and I have had some conversations
Is he
about
really a
this.
dark horse though?
Exactly. He's not a dark horse because he is the last Kona world champion, but he's had a whole bunch of injuries, or like one injury that's just been really bad for him for a while. And he keeps leading on that his fitness isn't as good as KB's, and I know that he's doing like shortened versions of some of KB's workouts. But I don't know. I just think there is a path for Gustav to win if you get guys like KB, Magnus, and Sam all like racing to the absolute limit at the front of the race. And if like all of them start to like go too hard because they're trying to battle each other, like there could be a potential where Gustav is racing semi-conservatively and just like, the three guys blow up and Gustav's like right there. But I think he's almost a shoe-in for like a top five, but maybe if anything can happen in the energy lab.
I really like how Gustav is saying that if he would be really disappointed if he
Oh
went
yeah.
top five, because it just shows that he's just naturally gifted and that hard work doesn't really matter. And I thought that was really interesting for him to point out, and that was really cool. And another podcast that I was listening to, where Gustav, as you were saying, Mike, Gustav can really pick those people off. So I think the analogy was Gustav is going to pick everyone off as like rotten apples across the tree, and then Christian is the evil snake in the tree, like eating the apples at the front. At least that's what it's funny. And another point I just want to say about the Norwegians that I thought was interesting. You were saying about KB's fitness. So it just the Frankfurt, like Gustav was saying, Frankfurt was great news, but also horrible news because it just reinforced that the training KB was doing into the Olympics was not the specificity that he needed coming to the Olympics, because that just shows that he was just so good for the Ironman distance. He didn't have those shorter, intense sessions that he needed. But yeah, I'm really excited for this race. It's gonna be real. This is my first Kona, male Kona that I'm gonna get to watch as a part of the triathlon space. So I'm really excited.
One more quick question before we close it out. Really quickly, one word answer. Trevor Foley or Lionel Sanders? Who do you think will place higher? Sade.
Trevor Foley.
Mike?
Lionel Sanders.
I'm going with Lionel. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of the Try Hard Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Next one's going to be the post-race recap. Sure, that's going to be a good one. No matter the result, it's going to be a fun day out there for sure. Fun and hard, exactly what we signed up for. So, yeah, we'll catch you guys on the other side.
Yep. See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Try Hard Podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate it if you could share with others and leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have any questions or comments for us, you can either DM us on Instagram, leave a comment on YouTube, or message us through the Spotify app. Lastly, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this week's episode, the Naperville Acupuncture Center. If you ever find yourself in the Chicagoland area and are dealing with some aches and pains, I cannot recommend Frank and Angela enough. They do an amazing job over there, and I promise you will leave feeling so much better. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you guys back here next week.